Gatekeepers versus influencers versus decision makers. Hi guys, my name's Deepak Shukla, founder at Pearl+Lemon+Sales. We're a sales training and development agency based in the UK as well as the USA and serving clients worldwide. And here today in day number 104 of 119 days of cold calling training, we're here to talk about gatekeepers versus influencers versus decision makers. But before we get into it, feel free to click the link in the description below to get access to 17 additional strategies that are not shared in this training. So look, fundamentally, I just want to highlight the reality that there's going to be, broadly speaking, three types of people you're going to be speaking to. So the gatekeepers, the influencers, and the decision makers, okay? And you're going to spend most time, to be honest with you, in this space, and you won't even, you will know this person out of the gate, right? They'll be like, who do you want to speak to? They're not available right now. They're not in right now. Let me put you through. What is it regarding? All of that kind of stuff. Okay, that can be a receptionist. That can be a support desk. That can be someone who's part of, the actual office. You could unknowingly be speaking to a gatekeeper and influencer at the same time. So that is not always apparent. The gatekeeper is also the influencer. The gatekeeper can also be the influencer and the decision maker all in one, because that's the DM if it's a small business. But certainly the gatekeeper can potentially also be the influencer. And in that instance, you should really, really think about the type of pitch that you're giving. So the more effective the pitch in general, depending upon the way that the person asks about the pitch, the more likely you're going to have success. But yeah, fundamentally, influencers are definitely the interesting piece here. Gatekeepers are well covered. Decision makers, you know who they are. But influencers might be, for example, one step away from the decision maker, and they may have more time than the decision maker, and they may indeed be the proxy for the actual decision maker. So in those instances, you want to really be mindful of who it is you're talking to and what they do at the company. And that's going to influence ultimately the way that you angle calls. So influencers, for example, could be one step removed from the decision maker, and they might have the internal influence over what the decision maker even lays his or her eyes on. They may even make the actual decision, but then the decision maker is the one who signs the checks, okay? So for example, when we're reviewing certain software tools, I won't be the person who makes the decision, but I will be the one who has the final approval. So while someone might try and get through to me, they're better off getting through to someone else in my team, like Tenny, who's a lot more available, and he's going to be the one that will come to me with the ideas. So in those instances, there's a blurring of lines between influencers and decision makers, and just, thinking about who it is that you're talking to and what they're doing at the company is really going to be useful as you go through and make your calls. So for example, when you're talking or calling a small business like a retail outlet, often the gatekeeper and influencer are going to be the same person, and that can be the person who fundamentally is answering the phone, because it's typical for most businesses that have one retail outlet, or even any retail outlet, that the person answering the phone will more often than not have a direct access to the decision maker for that store, unless they've got a separate head office where all things are done. But typically within a small business, the gatekeeper and the influencer could be the same person, and that's what then will influence the way that you talk to the gatekeeper and treat them as an influencer, rather than, for example, going for the bulldozer approach to try and sidestep the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper actually, with small businesses, could indeed be really important to the decision-making process. So just being aware of these different roles is going to be just really important when it comes to having success on these calls. So there you have it: gatekeepers versus influencers versus decision makers.
Remember, we've got 17 gated strategies just waiting for you. All you need to do is bing, subscribe, as well as click the link in the description below to get access to those 17. Get some.